This week we are talking about the possibilities of creating stronger connections in your business. Hey love, you're listening to the Mums in Biz Show and I'm Victoria. Every week I'll bring you the unvarnished version of what it means to be a mum running a brilliant business, what you need to be doing to get it to where you want it to be, and a healthy dose of how to get the heck out of your own way. Let's dive in. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mums in Biz Show. Hey there, I'm Nick Twerek of Nick Twerek Coaching. All right, so this week, episode 16, can you believe that we have been doing the show for 4 months already? Holy Moses, that's amazing. This week we are talking about the possibilities of creating stronger connections in your business. So, as you know, if you've followed me for 3 seconds, I really believe that we are creatures of connection. It's what we are all striving for. And we're always connecting to seek with others in some way, whether that is in our relationships, with our friends, with our families, in our workplaces. How often do you hear a group of people described as my work family or my soccer family or whatever? We use these terms for a reason, because we crave connection, and it is absolutely no different in your business. But we don't make it a priority. So that's what I'm talking about today, and some of the things that you can be doing to make connection a priority. And I'm talking genuine connection here, not just doing it for the sake of making a few bucks. I've talked about craving connection. Let me bring this to life for you a little bit. Think back to when you're a new mum. Maybe you're there now. I know when I think about my time as a brand new mum with a newborn, I craved connection. I pretty much lived at my best friend's house for the first 3 months of my daughter's life. I was there all the time. Fortunately, she had a baby too, and she was on her second child, so I was craving connection with somebody who clearly knew what she was doing, because her first daughter was still alive. I talked to people on the phone. Whenever I didn't reach out, but when people reached out to me, I was like this moth to a flame. Your newborn, look at your baby. Babies need physical touch and connection. We all know this. There are so many different schools of thought about how to, raise a baby and do the sleep thing and the feed thing and all of that, but it all is fundamentally about touch and connection and togetherness and the support and care that we need when we are a newborn, that our babies need. Look at your children. Your children crave connection. They crave friend groups. They crave their cousins, their grandparents, you and your partner. They crave connecting with you and having your love and having your attention and your guidance and your support as they grow. Our partners, we crave connection. When we neglect our relationships start to falter a little bit, and we need to, I am willing to bet that you've all experienced a point in your relationship where you're like, do you know what? I haven't sat down and talked to you for a while. Tell me how you really are. And you have to reconnect and recreate that intimacy to re-strengthen your bonds. Our group of friends that we form early on and never let go. Those friends that you made, and whatever that formative, for some people, you've had your group of friends right from primary school, or maybe it was that point in high school. For me, I've got friends from university, and that was a really formative part for me, and they're people who are still part of my tribe. Our families. Can you see a theme here? As human beings, we crave connection, authentic connection where people really truly believe in us and in supporting us, and who are going to call us out on our crap and stand up straight and fight to the death for us when we really need that too. And so even when you're looking for businesses to buy from, how often do you return over and over again to the same coffee shop or gift shop because you know the proprietor, you know the person who owns that business, and they remember you? They might actually not have the best coffee in the neighborhood, but you go back there because of the connection that you have. I know that I do. When I'm looking for a service provider, I look for someone I have a connection with. And I've talked to people who have stuck with a service provider who maybe wasn't their 100% perfect match. But because they really like them and because they really enjoy working together, they make it work because of that connection. So why on earth do we shy away from connecting with our business tribe? Why don't we do what it takes to get in front of people and build those connections? Is it fear? Is it resistance? Are we procrastinating? Lack of confidence? Okay, I'm going to tell you that it is all of those things. In today's online world, and particularly with the way that we get marketed to today, you are constantly having offers and information and requests to connect put in front of you every single day. And there has to be a way that we sift through that. And I think that we've become highly tuned at filtering out the BS and filtering out the people who are just after us for our money and who don't genuinely care about creating transformation for us. I think that all of us are honing that skill. But the impact of that is that we are naturally cautious. And so now when somebody reaches out with a genuine desire to connect, we naturally pull back and second guess and question why that person is reaching out to us. Okay? And so that makes us feel fearful. We are all fearful of rejection. We are all fearful of people not seeing us as authentic. We are fearful of them not wanting what we've got to offer. We feel resistance to stepping outside of our comfort zone because that's doing something a bit different and it's putting ourselves out there and it's exposing ourselves. And our highly tuned, reptilian brain, the amygdala, says, no, I don't believe in putting myself in a discomfort situation, so I'm going to make it really hard for you to do that religiously. And then we get a little bit of resistance back from the person we've reached out to because they're feeling a little bit like, oh, why is she reaching out? And so instead of going, hey, this is me, I'm a real human, I just wanted to check in with you, I just wanted to see what you thought of XYZ download, I just wanted to see how things were going for you with this particular problem that you are perfectly positioned to help them with. You go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't want to bother you, it's okay. And you leave it there and you don't take the extra step. Often it only takes 1 or 2 steps to really build that connection and really, something that can be powerful. And let me ask you this, how often have you felt better about your business and where you are at after talking to someone? I hope you're nodding. I can hear you nodding. I'm nodding because that absolutely happens to me. Every single time I talk to somebody and connect with them in a genuine way, it ups my energy. I feel so amazing about what I'm trying to do. And it reminds me that I can have an impact. It reminds me that I can make a difference for people, and it energizes me to do more to make that happen. So why would it be any different for your ideal client? Why would it not be that you can energize them by connecting with them, by helping them realize that someone genuinely cares about their situation, about them as a person? It's not hard to do. And I'm going to give you some tips on the things that you can be doing differently now in your business, that you can show up tomorrow and do differently to create that connection. And people buy from people they've connected with. When they're able to ascertain that you are the right person to solve the problem for them, and they do that by knowing that you are a human and that you care and that you want to help them solve, well, then that makes it much easier for them to make the decision to become a client. Okay, so let's talk about how you can create connection in your business then. The number one thing is that you need to make the effort to reach out personally. And that means prioritizing time to do that. Now, we all have the same 24 hours in the day, and I can hear you saying, I don't have time to do that. I can hear you saying that because I've been guilty of doing that as well over the last 12 months. And there are places where I do show up regularly, and there are other things that I could have been doing more actively to connect with people, and instead I've been prioritizing other stuff. Now, you don't have to do all the things in your business. You absolutely don't. What you have to do is the top 5% of activities which will actually move you forward. Everything else takes care of itself. So, make the effort to reach out personally and make that one of your things that is a priority. It doesn't have to take a long time, but it does need to be diligent and authentic. Some of the ways that you can do that are making use of things like Messenger. If you've connected with someone, if you have meaningfully, chatted to people in groups, been in streams, talked to someone more than once, and I say this with caution, more than once, meaningful connections, people where you're like, oh my gosh, hey Nick, how you going? Haven't heard from you for a week. That's the sort of person you could easily take that into a Messenger conversation and say, hey, I thought I would connect with you here. I really loved talking with you in XYZ group. Is that okay? Don't turn it into a cold sales conversation. That is not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about genuine connection. Okay? Facebook groups, show up in a real way. Don't try and do it in a million groups. Pick a couple of groups that are really well connected, values driven, work for you kind of groups that have your ideal client in them, and then show up and do it repeatably. It may take time, particularly if it's a group that's not very active. It's more useful if you're doing this in a group that is active, but then just show up and get involved in people's lives and businesses. Do it with the intention of connecting and serving, not selling. You will find, and the reason that this is really valuable is not only are you connecting with people who could be potential clients, you are actually connecting with people who could be your next business bestie. They could be someone who is really, really critical to where you're at in your journey right now, and you don't know that. They might be the person with one piece of advice which completely changes your headspace around a particular issue, a particular thing that's holding you back. They might be the person that's going to refer you to your next client. Now, if you try and sell to them rather than make a connection with them, they're never going to refer you to your next client. That's why keeping it about connecting and serving is super, super important. And it says, and if you aren't feeling it, then it's perfectly okay not to participate in that group anymore. Yes, 100%. Absolutely. Invite people to reply to your email. So if you have an email list and you are emailing out to them, start and ask them genuine questions when you do send a note out and invite them to reply. But when they do, make sure that you then go back with them and talk to them and ask them questions and get to know them and connect with them. The people who make the effort to reply to you, those are the ones that are craving a connection with you for some reason. And so it's really important to continue that and make the effort and prioritize them. Meet people in person. I think we don't do this enough today. I think that there are some fabulous meetup groups out there. You guys know that I'm part of Real Entrepreneur Mums. The reason that I'm part of that is because I think that meeting people in person and really connecting is so important. And even if you're not feeling it and you go along to that group that you've shown up at for 3 months in a row or whatever their frequency is, you will feel better just within yourself for having connected with some of the lovely people that you've met there. That is the kind of thing that helps people get to know you. They get to know that they can trust you. They get to know you and your business and what you've got to offer, and they're able to refer you to others, or they may choose to engage with you. But I think one of the places where ways that people go wrong with meeting people in person is that you do it with a sales intent rather than a connection intent. That makes a difference. We are finely tuned to spot people who only want us for our money, and they will not connect with you and they will not buy from you. Jump on calls with people. Invite people to come and talk to you about their issue. Don't just assume that your social marketing and your email marketing is going to do all of the conversion for you, particularly early on in your business. It depends obviously on what your business model is, but I highly recommend that you jump on calls with people and that you connect with them and learn them and their business. It is always about being genuine and caring. It is always about wanting to make a difference, and it is always about valuing yourself enough to share how you can help. Because when it's a natural segue in a conversation and you value yourself and trust yourself enough to be able to share how you can help in certain situations, then that just becomes a natural extension of the conversation. That's how great sales happen. So deliberately showing up, connecting every single day is super important so that people know that you are genuine. So my recommendation to you, create for yourself a connection strategy. So think about the things that I've mentioned. Those are by no means all of the ways that you connect. You can do it through Instagram. You can invite people to DM you. You can invite people to PM you in Facebook. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do it. But think about the platforms where you are showing up. And then create a connection strategy. What I want you to do is I want you to write down 3 ways that you're going to start connecting with people and making an effort and prioritizing time to do that deliberately. If one of those ways is showing up in Facebook groups, don't then decide you're going to do it in 10 Facebook groups. I would personally say, okay, I'm going to show up in 1 or 2 Facebook groups, and that's one of my connection strategies. Yeah. I think that leveraging connection in with your list is really important if you have an email list. If you don't have an email list, that's probably something you need to get onto if you are running an online business of any shape or form. Okay, but that's another conversation. And then either doing something in person or jumping on calls, having some kind of a strategy which gets you face to face with people. I think that it's really important to have those 3 elements covered in your connection strategy. And then just map out how you're going to do it. How many people are you going to connect with each week or each day, even better? Set yourself a target. And then you just go and do that. And you will find within a very short space of time that it's super easy to do because you've built relationships with people and you genuinely want to check back in with Jane to see how she went with the insert thing she was doing this morning here. Yeah. And so that is straight up a relationship. And you don't need to force conversations to continue to keep happening. We all know that conversations ebb and flow, and then you make a note and you pop back in to chat to Jane in 2 weeks or whatever that might look like. But be really deliberate about your connection strategy and what you're doing every single day to show up. Annette's made a point in the comments that her follow-up is letting her down. That's one of the things that I'm talking about with your deliberate action. So if you know that every day you're going to allocate, let's say you allocate 10 minutes to connect with 5 new people in some way, in line with those 3 things that you've decided are the core parts of your connection strategy. Well, then make sure you also allocate 10 or 15 minutes to follow up with people you haven't heard back from, or to check in with someone because it's 2 weeks since you chatted to them and you just wanted to see how they were going. Or maybe you suggested something to someone who was struggling with a challenge and they haven't come back to you to let you know how that went. Well, set yourself in a week I'm going to go back to Derek and I'm going to ask him how that went and did he get some results. And if he didn't try it, why didn't he try it? What was the thing that was holding him back? Be really deliberate about that. It will become second nature. It will become an absolutely critical part of your strategy. But unless you're connecting with people in person and in an authentic and genuine way, you're probably not going to build your tribe up to the point where you're starting to see momentum happen sooner rather than later. And that's a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoy listening to the Mums in Biz show, I would love for you to leave us a review on iTunes and be sure to post a snap of you enjoying the show on Instagram and tag me at nicole.tuerick. You can also join in the conversation with me in the Mums in Biz tribe on Facebook. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the Mums in Biz show.